I'm Mahdi Shaheeb Sher. My website is www.shaheeb.com. One of my interests in the world is Taiwan, and I think its relationship with China. I do think that Taiwan is quite important in the world because of its relationship with China. Taiwan is quite important in the world because it has a long history with China. Most of Chinese history is kind of preoccupied with the Republic of China, and that's what is represented by Taiwan. It's kind of the China Republic, the Republic of China, and the Chinese Republic. So I think with the Chinese Republic that we do have Taiwan now still in the world, which can still bring this concept and principle and value to the world of a Chinese Republic. And I think that's why Taiwan is still important in the world because it does represent these values. That we can see a world where we don't have so much of a communist China, but we have a Chinese Republic. And I think some people do value those kind of principles and values as well. I think they kind of appreciate that China does have a long history. It's over 2 to 3 thousand years of history, perhaps longer. And I think much of that is occupied by the Chinese Republic. I think the communist China has only been around for perhaps 50 years, 70 years, sorry, about 70 years. So it's not been part of Chinese history for long. I think that um, communist China and Chinese communism has only been part of China for a relatively short period of time. And that's just in the recent modern period, from about 1950 onwards, when we had the Chinese Revolution and the March by Mao, who was Chairman Mao of Communist China. And I think that as the father of China and as the founding father of China, uh, Mao is very important for how he introduces communism to China. And although communism is important to China and communism is important in the world, communism is now rather outdated. And I think that should be appreciated now because we're living in a very different future from the Cold War days and perhaps the days when communism was perhaps more popular than it is now. I think ideologically, communism has perished, has died away. It's become extinct because the concept of its ideas of the working class really ensure that the poor remain poor and there's no such thing as a working class. There's a normal class. There's a classless society, and there's no such thing as a working class. And that's quite opposed to each other. I think if you focus on a working class in a classless society, then that can be quite contradictory. I think that's why communism does have its fallacy. It does have its kind of negative aspects as well. And I think to perpetually focus on the working class is to create some kind of a poor means of subsistence in the world, where the poor always remain poor because they're always working in factories all the time with machines or just in factories 10 hours a day just to earn a living. And that is kind of a slavery in itself, just for the right to work. So I think communism, by its own concept, is quite dated and is out of date now. And I think it has been replaced by more modern views of the world, which appreciate freedom, individual liberty, and happiness and the pursuit of happiness. I think that's what people come to appreciate more now in the world, that people do have their individual thoughts and consciousness, and they have their own freedom and liberty to engage with their ideas and the ideas of the world around them. So I think this is what is very enlightening. I think it is some kind of an enlightenment view to have this kind of a concept and value in the world where we can share lots of ideas with the global world as a globalized world with globalization. And I think when we have this rich mix and culture of lots of nations and peoples from diverse backgrounds, from all walks of life, from different nations and different countries, then we do have some kind of a modern construct of thought that is very, very much encompassing around, encompassing around, excuse me, encompassing around sharing ideas and visions, so forth. So I think that we are living in a modern world with brighter ideas and a brighter future, and it's a much happier world. It's a much more free world with individual liberty and happiness. And I think this is a step above the communism that we experienced in the last few decades, especially during the Cold War, when there was a promise of kind of better working conditions, better work, and better privileges for the working class. I think these ideas are perhaps good and beneficial. However, I think they are pretty much focused around a working class in a classless society. And I think that wealth shouldn't be a barrier to the ennoblement of an individual. Wealth is simple material possession, materialism, and material possession, and we shouldn't be preoccupied by materialism. So I don't think we should spend too much time on wealth or the distribution of wealth. It is a very important principle and aspect, and I think we should invest in it. But I don't think it should be a preoccupation to the degree that it is to invest so much time in materialism, because wealth at the end of the day is merely wealth, and it is the culture and the idea of an individual needs wealth and material possession. I think the idea that a person has, the way he's able to exchange those ideas with fellow human beings, he's able to engage with other people in friendship, with rich smiles and greetings. I think it's with this rich culture of friendship that we introduce ourselves in the world, and that's how we walk in the world as friends in the world. And I think it's with that kind of principle and with that kind of exchange of ideas that we can be better people. It's not through wealth and material possession, but it's through better ideas, through good character, through ethics and good decency and standards that we can be better people within the world, so we can have a better shared vision of the world and perhaps a better world as well. So I think that these are important things. And I think that's why communism has been replaced by other more shared values in the world, and I think that we do have more shared values in the world. I think that communism in China is also perhaps a bit outdated, and I think maybe there's a time now where perhaps Taiwan should take more of a lead role in China with more of its kind of political benefits that it's able to introduce, perhaps with its shared history in China and its long history. And I know there's been kind of views and interests with ideas of political change and regime change in China, maybe through orchestration of a coup or a coup d'etat. I think there have been attempts with a coup d'etat in China for regime change, and that's one of the efforts that I think Taiwan has orchestrated to perhaps gain power in China, and that could be one of the most powerful ways that Taiwan can gain some kind of political ascendancy and political right in China. through some kind of regime change. And I think that should be the dialogue now, to focus on Taiwan's benefit within China, what beneficial role it can play in China. And I think its political means at its disposal should conduct around regime change, perhaps through political means, with perhaps the examples of coups that have existed in other regime changes around the world. So I think that there are various viewpoints in the world where regime change has been discussed in kind of that part of the world, in Asia, China, and Taiwan as well. And I think Taiwan is able to take a lead effort with its own political ideas and its own kind of exercise of power. And I think that's one of the reasons that Taiwan is still powerful in the world, because it does have, excuse me, at its disposal political force and a political means to engage some kind of political dialogue within China. And this political dialogue is important because we can reinforce China's role in the world by looking at its history and its kind of role within the world, as it has been conducted in the past. And I think certainly Taiwan also plays a part in that as well, because I think Taiwan does have an important political role, and I think this should be quite important as well. I support Taiwan's right to some kind of political dialogue in China. I think such political dialogue should be encouraged. I think a political dialogue between Taiwan and China is positive. I think it could create some kind of peace in the region. And I think that's what's important, that we should have peace initiatives in the region. And I think that I think if there is a political dialogue with Taiwan and China, then we can have more shared peace in the world, and particularly with the serious problems of the Taiwan Straits and the military aggression harbored by China against Taiwan and its military conduct against Taiwan. So I think that there should be some peace initiative with that kind of area of the world, with Taiwan and China. I think that is a sensitive region. There should be more political dialogue and peace initiative. And I think that should be encouraged. So that's my view about Taiwan and China. Thank you.